Good evening, lovely spirits. It's the wise servant here, Mr. Solace. I greet in the sign of the rising sun, peace and wisdom. Now, today I want to do this video. I want to take y'all back to the beginnings of self, because we never think about the beginnings of self. We think about who we are and who we've become. But we never take a chance to think back to the beginnings of self and how we were shaped and formed by those that raised us up. And it's a very deep thing. You have to begin to separate who the world made you from who you truly are, if you even know who that is. And this is why we got to take a time out to self. Now, I know a lot of y'all are like, man, what is that in your hand? This is the jewel. It's a Solace jewel. But, I'll show y'all this precious jewel in a second. Before I get into this video, before I lose my train of thought, I want to let all the beautiful people that ordered my collection of work. This is the book. I have a video already done showing a little preview of what's inside. So I just want to let all you guys know I have your manuscripts, and I'll be mailing them out in the morning. So you should be receiving them sometime next week. I want to say thank you for your support and appreciation for what I do. Now I want to get into this video, and don't worry, I'm going to show you guys the knife again at the end of the video. But first I want to get into some very important things. Now, as I stated, we have to begin to separate who the world made us from who we truly are. Now, what I mean is this. I don't appear to be wise according to y'all perceptions of what a wise person should look like and act like and speak like. And this is because y'all forget the beginnings of self. Therefore, you never look at the beginnings of others. Now, I was born into this world just like anyone else. Grasp. I couldn't speak, talk, walk, none of that. I had to learn the ways of this existence the same way as all of you. And I was born into whatever environment I was born into, just like you guys were. And I was taught how to speak by those from that environment. And I was taught how to walk by those in that environment. And I was taught and raised up and shaped and formed into that environment the same way as everyone else. So we never look at it that way. But that's the reality of what's happening. Your parents live in whatever neighborhood or environment they live in. Their parents before them, same thing, so on and so forth. And we're all taught how to speak according to the language that those who raise us up speak. We're taught all the ways. So I walk the way I walk because I was raised where I was raised. Had I been raised somewhere else, I may have a different walk. I may have a different speech. I may have a different language. I may have a different hairstyle, different everything. It's a truly deep thing I need y'all to grasp. We're all born into this world, can't speak or do anything for ourselves, and we're taught by those that come before us. And I learned to be, walk and talk how I was taught. And I learned the ways of where I was at. So we got this perception of life where This is good, this is bad. But we never have the perception to think, okay, the wise servant, meaning me, the wise servant was born, just like all of us, into this existence. You have to look around and see, okay, what's going on here? You got to learn how to walk and do as they do here. Now, there's many different heres, meaning you got the ghettos, villages, cities, nice area, the bad. So this is what I mean when I say you got different heres. You got different environments. But they all just places in the life, the spirit's born into the physical in its environment. And lions is born where they're born, wolves are born where they're born. Everything is born into its existence, into its environment. And it's taught the ways of those that it's born to. Now that's not to say the way that the lion lives is wrong, or the way that the wolf lives is wrong, or the way that the man from the ghetto lives is wrong, or the way that the man from the nice neighborhood lives is wrong. It's not to say any of that. But what it's to say is all these different environments have their own experience. And it's all learning. So you have to grasp. What is done in whatever environment. And it's all experience. Simple thing. But y'all don't look at yourselves in that way. To say, okay, I was born into that existence, in that environment, and I experienced. And I was shaped and formed. This is where it's interesting. See, had I been born into this existence with a perspective, then I would not have been able to experience. How do you experience something when you already have a perspective? See, it's hard for y'all to experience and grasp things and do things because you have perspectives now. So it's a deep thing I want you to grasp. Had the child been born already with the language, would he have been able to adopt, meaning speak? If the baby was born speaking a language already, do you think it would have been easy for him to grasp the new language? So this is what I mean. We're all born here not knowing nothing for sake of experience, lest the experience be tainted. And the baby don't learn how to walk if the baby's already born knowing how to swim. You would have not learned how to swim. So this is my point. When you're born with perspective or already knowing, it takes away from the experience. Now, y'all have all these different environments in a status thing. So the ghettos is bad and wrong and the nice neighborhood is good and right. But if you just remove all of that, you just have the experiences of these places, and all of us are just spirits or sperm cells born into bodies, experiencing the physical. And it doesn't matter what the experience is. It's for the purpose of the experience. And then you get grown. So now you're shaped and formed as a child from whatever environment you were born into, and you're taught the ways of that, and you're shaped and formed. And then you become an adult. And it's a deep thing because now you have perception. You're shaped and formed now. You're not like the baby that don't know anything and can just experience and grasp. But now you kind of have that block because you know what you know. And this is a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. This is when y'all fall into rights and wrongs, failing to realize everything about yourself was made by others, and you have to find yourself now. Grasp that. You were taught how to walk by someone. Go back to your beginnings. You were taught how to speak by someone. You were taught how to tie your shoe the way you tie your shoe by someone. There's more than one way to tie a shoe, but you tie your shoe the way you tie your shoe because that's how you was taught. You speak the language you speak in the dialect that you speak it because that's how you were taught. And you walk how you walk because that's how you was taught. So if you was raised in a gang, you might walk a certain way. So I don't want y'all to get lost and say, I walk how I walk, because you walk how you walk because of whatever you're a part of, in a sense. So the clean-cut, white-collar guy, they all walk and they look a certain way. They have to. Just like the gang members, they all walk and move a certain kind of way in their way, but it's the same way. The gang member doesn't move like the white-collar man. Even if the white-collar man was a gang member, he still knows the difference in the movement. I say that because a lot of y'all will get lost and say, no, y'all like to disagree with anything, but I'm just trying to shape and form your perspective to grasp. Every piece of your being, from the way you speak, walk, move, what you know, this was all shaped and formed by the people of your environment. You are pieces and aspects of everyone who had a part in teaching you a thing. Grasp how deep that is. You grown now, and you are who you are, and you say, I am so-and-so, and you. Yet you never took a moment to self to grasp that simple thing. You were born knowing nothing. So everything you know and everything you do was a matter of someone else. And we have to truly begin to grasp when we get grown. You have to separate who the world made you from who you really are. It's a deep, cold-blooded thing. I was raised in the ghetto. Came up ganging, then slanging. So when I have things like this, I speak of my past, cocaine or things like that, people will get lost. They say, that don't sound. He don't act like how a wise man should. And it's a matter of your perception. You ignore the environment I was born into and I was taught that way. And you were brought up where you were brought up and you were taught that way. And you perceive a wise man to be this way, and a man from the ghettos perceive a wise man to be this way, and everyone has their perceptions. But when you strip away all those perceptions, acknowledging that everyone is just shaped and formed by their environment. But this has nothing to do with them grasping life. What we're taught and all of this has nothing to do with life and grasping life and being wise. See, the experiences that a man in the ghetto has and the experiences that a man in the good neighborhood has will give them both the same thing. Experience. What is experience? Seeing and doing. And in that, you can build on that. So that's all the experience is. Thought to build on. Grasp. It's a simple thing. So he's over here learning that way, he's over here learning that way. And now they can both use what they learn to grasp life. Because what they're doing is in life. You get my point? And it's a deep thing, we get lost. We think a wise man is supposed to look a certain way or act a certain way, failing to realize that the environment shapes and forms. So I was born into the ghettos. Therefore, I separate who I was made in who I am. That's separate. I know the difference. Many of y'all don't with self. Now, who I was and shaped and formed in this life, that's what y'all relate to, if you can grasp. Who I really am and who you guys really are, which y'all don't know. So a lot of y'all are like, I never really did none of this, so I never even thought about this, let alone to know who I am. I ain't start to be who I am. I'm still kind of being who I was made to be. Well, who I am and who you guys are, if you knew, that's different. So it's a deep thing I want y'all to know. Who we are is if it was no influence. Y'all learn, y'all experience, but then y'all are stained with the influence. You don't just experience, grasp, and then, grasp. I didn't make that thing up, I just experienced. So that's just something shaping and forming. And I indulge, I grasp, I get it, move along to the next thing. We kind of get stained with things, and it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. You have to find who you are. And that's where it's going to get hard for a lot of y'all. Because y'all already stained out. Tell a person, who are you? What's your name? And many of y'all are like, the name that you was given. The name that your mother gave you. Like, you really can't strip yourself of everything that was, everything that made you. You're grown now, you can make yourself. Be yourself, know yourself. But, in a sense, it's hard for people to cleanse the conscious. Truly grasping everything of my being is just shaped and formed by those that I've been around all this time. But who I truly am is beneath all that influence. And that person has never been able to actually live. And you got to get to that. It's a deep thing. Who y'all are is a matter of peer pressure, what's trending, this thing, that thing. All the way from your birth up. Those that raised you up, and etc., etc. But no one ever took a time really to get to know self and say, okay, when I remove all these things, and who am I? Would I have walked if no one taught me? Or would I have crawled? Would I have flown? What would I have done? What would I have liked had I not been influenced to like anything? What would I have learned on my own, uninfluenced? And it's a deep thing. When I say learn from the life, I get now why y'all can't. I'm like, how can I do that? Too much influence. You never think for a moment, if no one was here and I just had to figure this thing out for myself, would I have been able to? And most of y'all would. But you can't even grasp that because you too influenced. So you like, if I ain't never was taught nothing, I'd be finished. And you being taught is why you're finished. It's a deep, cold-blooded thing. Y'all have to truly grasp. Man raised by wolves, talk and move like a wolf, but he's still a man. Talk and walk like a wolf. You say he dumb, but dumb according to what? Does the wolf know and understand life better than the man? According to the actions of the wolf and according to the actions of the man. And if you have true, deep understanding of life, well, then you would have to say, well, nothing's more lost than man in understanding life, just according to what man does in his action. He knows nothing about life. He's just here. The wolves and everything else seem to know a little something. They move in certain order. And man kind of just does whatever he wants. They don't even move in accord with one another. So it's a deep thing. But, most people will say, no, the wolves are dumber than the people. And it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. Take a time out to get to know self. That's why I say you got to start to be real with self. Because a lot of y'all perceptions block y'all from truth. Y'all perceptions ain't of truth. You see the wise servant, you say, he can't be wise. He too gutter. Your perception is just not wise. Because that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You live how you live because someone built this city up and made this type of system. The good neighborhood, the bad neighborhood, that was made. The rich man, the poor man, that was made. And this is all your perceptions are based on these simple things, as well as deeper things, and your religion and everything. Just brainwashed and conditioned. Who is so cold-blooded deep? But it's like I said, you have to go to the beginnings of self. The beginnings of the city you live in, when it was a forest and people lived in villages and communities and they understood things. They didn't fuck up the life. So you got to start going to the beginnings of everything. Start from scratch. Even in your Bible, if you're too brainwashed to leave that, well, you start from the beginnings, where it said in the beginning it was dark and void. And then you get to grasping, why was God in goddamn hell? In the bottomless pit? Because that's what that is. So you gotta grasp the deep shit, you know? But you got to start with the beginnings. Y'all get to the end. And y'all get caught up in that end. Like, yeah, I'm great, but you forget in the beginnings when, you was slobbing and shitting and pissing on yourself. I don't care how great a man is that y'all see. He was drooling and shitting on himself. And you can't forget that. All knowledge starts there. So even if you like, man, just off what I said so far, you should be able to grasp, okay, yeah, he's wise. Even though my perception of what wise is, he don't fit that bill. Well, he is wise because for 21 seconds, he just said some deep shit that I never even thought of. And there's many videos you can go through that I say things y'all don't even think to think. Like, damn, I don't even think that, let alone try and figure out an answer. And it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. Start from the beginnings. Now, I also want to say one more thing before I show you guys this knife. Because I know y'all desperate to see that. Being happy. A lot of y'all will wake up some days happy. And you wake up some days sad, in a bad mood. And the days we wake up in bad moods, that is pushed out. So most people don't keep their bad mood to themselves, but they get agitated with everybody around them, and this is what I mean by push that bad out. That bad feeling, that agitation, that misery. It's pushed out. People happy. They don't push their happiness out the same way. So in life, you got people waking up happy. You got people waking up miserable. And then you got all the people in between. They neutral. And those that woke up miserable, they gonna push that out to all those in the middle. And those of you that's happy, y'all kind of flee away to keep your happiness. Like, I'm keeping this shit, I ain't. And it's a deep thing. You got to push that happiness out to others. And I woke up happy today, Mill. The same way the agitated niggas waking up, pushing out that to everybody he coming in contact with. Some people, like I said, they neutral. They ain't wake up happy all sad. They just like, I'm chilling. And those miserable people are coming into contact with them, just pushing that misery all off on them. And it's a deep thing. We got to start to counteract. We got to pay attention. The miserable is pushing out harder than the happy. The bad is pushing out harder than the good. So if you wake up happy, try to push that out. Let it be known, I'm happy today. It's a good day. It's going to be a great day. I woke up today like that. Went out. Got these books made. Took care of my business. Was very productive, as I am every day. But today I felt good. Usually I'm just neutral. I'm regular, regular day. Rock and roll. But I made sure I pushed that happiness out today. Everybody I came in contact with. So it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. Try to do that. Pay attention to your emotional state. Adjust it. Start paying attention to self. That's the main thing, like truly. Your emotional state, everything. Start paying attention to self. I know y'all busy. And that's why they got y'all busy on slave time. But you truly got to grasp what's more important. The moment you get to know yourself and start to be yourself, you'll begin to create your own environment. And understand, man, I ain't got to be a part of anyone's environment, but I can start my own. And we got to all start to appreciate self and self thoughts and self's individuality. And I don't want to live this way, but I want to, people just got to start grasping self. Now, as far as this knife goes, this is the Coyote Jawbone Dagger. Little ancient antique that I have. You get a look at that blade. It's just a nice piece of handiwork, Ancient, I posted a picture of this knife on Facebook, and a lot of people kept saying, yo, that's the Apocalypto knife. I have no clue what that is, but no doubt. But I seen a lot of comments say, yo, that's the Apocalypse joint. That's the Apocalypto joint. I don't know what that is, though. What are y'all talking about? But, this is a little, antique, you can say I have. I have other pieces. I like to collect things that, are not for sale, so to say. Ancient, old artifacts, so to say. So, if I run by something, buy it. I have a store that I go to in the village sometimes. And they have a lot of ancient artifacts that they get directly from the Native Americans. And they have like flutes and peace pipes and things. It's a spiritual store, so they sell like candles and things. And different stones and just many different things. They have Kemetic coffins, all types of things in there. Sometimes I pass through there, see if they got any new things that I can purchase. But like I said, I like to that's what I'm into, antiques, things of value, priceless value. So I posted this online and I told people make me an offer. And one guy said $25. And it's a deep thing. I realize with black people, we have no understanding of what worth and value is. It's a deep thing. A lot of y'all will come across a thing and you have no perspective of what is of worth and value in life. It's a deep thing. A lot of y'all will come across a book. Now let's say this book is the last book that was ever printed. This book was printed in the 1800s and the last copy printed was in 1910. And in today's times, you come across that book, you like, man, I don't want to read that book. What is that? A black person will walk right by. I don't know, an old book that ain't nobody reading now. What am I do with that? We don't understand worth and value in what others may say. Oh, I want that. So it's a deep thing. And we lose out every time because a lot of y'all have ancient old things that y'all, it's deep. Our perspective is thrown off. But the brother said $25. You had people saying weird stuff like take it to the museum. Now, museums don't purchase things. And when I said make me an offer, it had nothing to do with me trying to sell my artifacts or my antiques. But it was a matter of just sharing old things, because I have a lot of things like this. This is not the only knife I have. I'm going to show y'all one day. I have a bunch of, things like this. So I was like, black people got to start to grasp. So I was going to sell a few. so people can grasp, what understanding. Oh, I'm gonna get me an antique and just another side of life to grasp more than stupid things. It's just like the person I bought it from. So I kicked out what I kicked out for because I said, oh, that's cold blooded. In the time to come, I'm gonna sell that. And they was thinking the same thing when they held it. I'm gonna sell it. Now they got a pretty penny out of me for this. It's a deep thing. This ain't cheap. So I don't want nobody to get lost and think, oh, I wasn't in the backyard making this shit. Get real. This old. But it's just deep. Like, it's not cheap. When he said $25, I said, niggas crazy. $25? Can't be serious. It's cold-blooded deep. I think people kind of be getting lost and confused. Like, some of my underwears cost $25. Like, it's just weird. Like, I don't understand y'all perceptions. Like, I teach what I teach, but for some reason, I think y'all are taking from that to be poor and miserable, and it's something wrong with y'all perception when y'all hear certain things. But, I have many artifacts. I'm going to start showing y'all different things. If anybody ever sees anything that they like, make me an offer. I don't mind sharing these artifacts because I can't die with them. And I have enough to leave to my kids. And that's what they for trading. People only have money in today's times, but that's what everything is pretty much for. So like I said, I have an abundance of these things. If anyone sees anything that they may like, and they say, hey, I got to have that in my collection of ancient artifacts that I'm on sale one day, like I said, make me an offer. Solace031@gmail.com. And you make me an offer, get you a nice dagger. I got a cold-blooded. I have a deer jawbone, obsidian. Whoo! I don't feel like getting up to get it right now. But next video I'm gonna show y'all it. It's about 14 inches. It's pretty long. So it's deep. I'm gonna have to back this up.